is Just So You Know Moments with a twist. Your host, Dr. Jackson Dean, the Pen Slayer. You ready? Let's go. Just so you know, moments with a twist. This is Just So You Know Moments with a twist. Your host, Dr. Jackson Dean, the Pen Slayer. You ready? Let's go. Just so you know, moments with a twist. This is Just So You Know Moments with a twist. Your host, Dr. Jackson Dean, the
This Just So You Know moment is brought to you by Dr. LaShonda, Jackson Dean, and Jackson Dean Investments. Just so you know, Dr. Jackson Dean, the Pen Slayer, says, I am a talk show host, a speaker, a life and success strategist, and an author. I inspire, empower, and coach others to be the best versions of themselves. Welcome to Just So You Know Moments with a Twist. I'm your host, Dr. LaShonda Jackson Dean. Thank you to everyone, and please, please, please like and share, 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 and be interactive and participative in this live tonight. I can't begin without always saying thank you to God and to all these social media platforms for allowing me to use this as a practice lab while I wait on my national and international syndicated TV, radio, and internet talk show. As Philippians 4 and 13 says, I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. Tonight, we are going to speak with the inventor of an item every household should have. Our guest tonight is Miss Tracy Renee, and she is the inventor of Shampoo Mate. Please welcome to Just So You Know Moments with a Twist, Miss Tracy. Hello, Miss Tracy.
Hi, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for Just So You Know Moments with a Twist. So tell me about yourself and tell me about your product.
Well,
Miss
like you said,
Tracy.
Tracy Renee. I am a native of Chicago, Illinois. I've been here in Houston, Texas now for about 12 years, a little over 12 years or so. And as you mentioned, I am the inventor of the Shampoo Mate. I'm a mom of three girls, hence how we came about with the Shampoo Mate.
Oh, wow.
Tracy Renee. Pray, yes, three girls. Pray for me now. Illinois. And so pretty much that's how the Shampoo Mate came about. I'm a former oil and gas exec. Worked in the human resource industry for a while, and came up with a guide idea and decided it was time for me to do something different.
Oh, wow. Fantastic.
Fantastic.
So, three girls.
Yes. So pretty much
Three
that's how
heads of
the
hair.
Shampoo Mate came about. Three heads of hair.
No
Former
doubt.
oil and
Big
gas
hair.
exec. Yes, big hair, lots of natural hair. With a guide idea.
So, when I think about your shampoo mate, I think about those days when I was a young little girl and I dreaded getting my hair washed because I had so much hair, so much hair. And I think my mom dreaded it even more than I did.
Yes, big hair. I can relate.
And, having to move everything, the dish rack and everything off the counter and all
Exactly.
of that. And then you get up there and you get over the sink. Yeah. Oh, God.
Exactly right.
And so I always said, oh, I just wish I had a little girl so that, I could do all these things with her. But then I think about, she'll have just as much hair as I have, and I have to deal with all that. I don't think I'm ready for that.
Exactly.
So tell us some more about this shampoo mate.
Exactly. Okay, so they say that Mother Nature is the necessity is the invention of Mother Nature. So It actually just came about because I was shampooing my daughter's hair at home one Sunday afternoon, and we were stressing out, and everybody was going through the whole normal process of getting their hair shampooed, and they were fussing and complaining that I was hurting their neck and water was getting in there, you know, in their eyes. And then my bag was stressing because I'm trying to hold their head with one hand and trying to shampoo with the other, and not really even getting an effective shampoo in.
Right.
And because we were making such a commotion this particular Sunday, everybody in the house was like, look, I'm so sick of this. You got to figure out some way to resolve this issue. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do just that. And what made me decide to continue to press forward with it was a few years prior, I was working on my master's degree. And at the time I had, go ahead.
And Can you turn your Facebook audio down?
Hurting their neck and water was getting in there, turn Facebook audio down. I don't even know how to turn Facebook audio down.
With one hand and trying to shampoo with or whatever you use to turn the volume down.
I'm on my, okay, let's just turn the volume down here.
We were making such a commotion.
Is that better?
This particular Sunday. Everybody in the house was like,
so pick back up so you get your master's and
figure out some.
So I was working on my master's degree. And I had to either improve upon a product or invent a product.
Right.
And at the time, I was a non-traditional student, meaning I was married and I was a mother. I was working full-time, all that great stuff.
Right.
And so by the time I got to campus in the evening, I had this huge bag full of all of my stuff in order to get to one end of the school. And so I decided to create a backpack on wheels. Okay, I just improved upon that product. I got an A on the project, but 2 years later, Backpacks on Wheels came out. Let's just turn the volume. So I said, if I ever got a guide idea like that again, I was not going to miss that opportunity. And so that's exactly what I did. Just kind of started playing around with products to try to figure out what I could possibly use to create something. And I'm kind of techie anyway, so I'm always playing around with stuff, trying to figure out how stuff works. I think I should have been an engineer in my past life. But that's pretty much how it came about. It was just trial and error, trying to solve an issue that I was having in my own home.
So you're saying that your first product that you decided to invent was due to your MBA?
And so
I do remember those days, going through getting my MBA, we had to do those products, do projects to make something, to invent something, or to improve a process or whatever. And so that's interesting that you came up with the luggage on, what did you say, the backpack on the wheel?
It was backpacks on wheel. I mean, because that's what I had. I had a backpack, but it would be filled with everything that I had throughout the day. So it would have all of my books that I needed. It had a pair of flat shoes because I'm always in heels. So I had flat shoes in the backpack, and I had my snacks for the evening, and it was just heavy walking from one end of campus to the opposite end in order to be able to get to where I needed, to keep from having to go back and forth to my car. Again, I was non-traditional, so it wasn't like I had a dorm that I could go back to go and pick up the necessary books that I needed. I had to take everything that I had, and so that was the idea. It was to put backpacks on wheels in order for me to just be able to carry it across campus. And like I said, I got an A on the project, but Backpack on Wheels actually came out the following year. 2 years later, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so that's good. Now, with your product, is there any way you can show it to us?
Sure.
Your shampoo maker.
My trusted assistant right here. So this is my backpacks on wheels. I mean, because that's what I had. I had backpacks. Okay. So this is the actual shampoo made itself. So it is an ergonomically designed neck rest that supports a child when they get their hair shampooed. So it's a niche that's actually cut out for the children to be able to utilize. And then you just lay it down on the sink. We've got a little mat that actually comes along with it too, that kind of give them some support when they're laying on the counter. So it's not so hard when they're on the countertop. And so if you imagine at the sink, and I'm going to stand up, I hope you can see me. So if you imagine sitting at the sink, you've got it the tail end here.
Okay.
And then this is my little trusty assistant that works with me.
Hi, assistant.
And so you just lay the child here, and now they're comfortable. You got all of the hair out. I hope you can see that.
2 years later, I'm
So
sorry.
all of the hair is now out, and then now you're able to give the baby an effective shampoo. I hope you can see me.
This is marvelous. Absolutely marvelous. Ingenious.
Thank you.
I'm pretty sure a lot of women out there, a lot of mothers out there, thank you for this product.
I get that quite often.
Okay. So let's take a break right quick and do a commercial, and we'll come right back.
Ergonomically designed neck rest that supports a child.
Hello, business owners, entrepreneurs, authors, speakers, and event coordinators. Would you like to be a guest on the Just So You Know Moments with a Twist talk show? If so, email me at justsoyouknowmoment@gmail.com to schedule a consultation. Put your business, your name, or your product in the great format in front of the audience waiting to learn more about you. Contact Dr. Jackson Dean at justsoyouknowmoment@gmail.com.
And so you just lay the child here, and now they're comfortable. You got all of the hair out. I hope you can see that.
2 years later, I'm
So
sorry.
all of the hair is now out, and then now you're able to give the baby an effective shampoo. I hope you can see me.
This is marvelous. Absolutely marvelous. And we're back. Just so you know, Moments with a Twist. Let's welcome Miss Tracy back with her shampoo mate. So, Miss Tracy,
I get that quite often.
there's a lot of people out there want to know about how to get a patent and get their product to the market. So, just so you know, your ability to actually get your product patented and out to the market is huge. That is huge for someone to actually do that. And there's so many people out there with innovative ideas on products but just don't know what to do. And so, can you look into the camera and speak to our listener audience about the process of getting a product licensed and patented?
Okay. So first of all, let me just say, I had no clue what I was doing when I invented the shampoo mate. None. I didn't know anything about patents, trademarks, any of that. I simply went online to Google and said, how do I get a product patent? How do I obtain a trademark? That was my first step. And I spent probably 6 or 7 months or so just perusing the website, trying to figure out if there was something that was out there, first of all, that could solve the problem that we were facing. That was the first thing. And so I thought of some of everything to try to figure it out. And so the first application that I submitted for the patent, I did it myself. I went to the USPTO website, uspto.gov website, printed out the application, went through the application, and just tried to put as much information on there as I could about the invention. At that point, we submitted the application in, and it came back that I needed some more information.
Okay.
So it was at this time I was casually talking to my mother, and she says, "What? Isn't so-and-so's son a patent attorney or something like that?"
Okay.
And I said, you know what? I have no idea, but let me reach out to her to find out. This was a childhood friend of my mother's. And so I reached out to her, and she said, well, yes, he is. And it just by chance, he lived here in Houston.
Look at God.
And so at that point, I reached out to him and said, okay, hey, I've got this idea. This is what I have. I submitted this patent information. It came back and gave me provisional, but now it's asking me for some more information. And I don't really know where to go from there. None. I didn't know. At that point is when he began to do his due diligence and do everything that he needed to do as far as the legalities of it, and created. I'm just gonna say a bunch of stuff for my lack of ignorance as far as the law portion of it is concerned.
Okay.
And so he had to dig deeper in it and then submitted everything, and that's how the patent came about. It was me initially just going online, looking up going to Google and then going to the USPTO.gov website and then soliciting an attorney. Now, I would not suggest that up front for anyone that's interested in creating a product because it was very difficult and it was time consuming.
Right.
Versus had I reached out to this attorney prior to, when he went on and checked the design work for the invention itself, for the dimensions, he did all of the technical stuff for me. And it was very quick once he did it. And we came back and there was nothing at the time. And then as far as trademarks were concerned, and I am registered. So I do have you see my registered mark on all of my material. And my trademark came, that particular attorney only dealt with patents. My trademark, I got that from also going online. And then I found out that there was a program that one of the colleges offers here for all third and fourth year students who are pursuing patent and trademark law.
Oh, wow.
They only take a certain amount of projects per semester because the students, and these are trained students, these are third and fourth year grad students, and they work with people who worked for the patent and trademark office. So those people that have been in patent and trademark office in DC are here now training these students and helping them to solicit, and then they expedite your application process as well.
Oh, wow.
Again, that program is very limited. They only deal with a certain amount because, again, these are students that they're working with. And because they expedite the process, that was how we had to do it. But I would say just start, there. Start doing your due diligence on that and finding out, because again, I had no clue. It was a long process, but it was one that I would not regret, and I would do it all over again.
Well, I don't think you would either. I mean, with the success that you're having with the shampoo made, I mean, it's a wonderful product. It's a wonderful product. It looks like it's made well, and so I'm glad that you were able to actually get it patent and get it to the market, and you've done so. And so now, since we know that it can be done,
absolutely,
some of us who have ideas and things that we've written down and stuff. I've written down a few things myself, but didn't know the process of actually getting it to get it patented and get it out to the market. And just like yourself, I have formulated some different things myself and then looked up somebody else did it. They beat me to the market. And, it's kind of disheartening when you're like, hey, that was supposed to be and now somebody else has their name on it. But, it just...
But you know what? And I'm glad that you said that. I'm glad that you said that, because a lot of people don't know that just because there is currently something out there, you can take it, and just like I said with the backpacks, you can improve upon a product as well. And even improving upon a product, depending upon how you do it, you may still be able to get that product patent or trademark.
Right. That's where the term "the better mousetrap" came in at.
Absolutely.
Do you remember learning about that in your MBA course?
I sure did. That's exactly what it came from.
When we were going for our MBAs, one of the things we talked about is there could be several products out there, and people have ownership for those products. But if you can improve it just enough, that product becomes a new product, and now you're the owner of it.
That's exactly right.
And I really enjoyed that part with my MBA, learning all those different things about product and getting product to the market. I am so glad that you mentioned about having an attorney or having some type of legal assistance when it came to getting your product together and getting it out. So I have another question.
Yes, ma'am.
What about prototypes? Did you have to produce a prototype before you got everything done?
Oh yeah, So it's a little interesting. Our prototype was basically what was used in the household with us, and so all of us tried it. We were our own little test market for a while. 5 of us, and we aged. We were from, I think my youngest might have been about 80 pounds at the time that we were doing that. We were testing it, and then My ex-husband was like 250 at the time. So we all tested, we all got up and we would, get our hair shampooed and stuff. And of course, we just massage his scalp, while he was laying on it. But we tested it with several different types of material first to see what we like. And it was a trial and error. And I was like, no, don't like that. Yeah, that might work, but I need something a little bit more. And once I finally found the material that was comfortable for all of us, I went on ahead and said, okay, let me make at least a couple of them to kind of see what they were. And because my product is not necessarily really techy, it's a simple product. It was just simply me going to the manufacturers that we found here. And that's a whole nother story, trying to get not the manufacturers, but my suppliers. That's a whole nother story how we found them. But once I got
one of my next questions.
Okay, so we'll go back to that. Okay. But once I actually found that, I had several of them made, and then I just sent them out to some of my sorority sisters and said, hey, try this for me. Let me know what you think.
Right.
And so we test marketed it again, just kind of hearing the feedback from those people. And then they would call back and say, girl, where in the world did you get this from? Like, well, we invented it. And they were like, what? And I said, yeah. I said, okay, so now what I need you to do is go on your social media pages and start tagging me. Hadn't even had a business yet. Just wanted to just get some information. I said, oh, let me hurry up and create a Facebook page. And that's what I did.
Right.
And so we kind of went from there, just kind of doing our own little prototyping, if you will. So I didn't necessarily have to send it out to anybody. I didn't have to get a company for anything other than sourcing the raw materials that I needed.
Right. Isn't social media great?
Wonderful.
That's the why I always have to say thank you to social media platforms every week, because I'm telling you, this is a wonderful thing. So another thing I want to ask you, as far as the investment, and we always know that there's going to be some type of investment in anything that's good that you're trying to do.
Absolutely.
And so what was the investment like? I'm not asking specifically, but as far as like filing your patent, it'd probably be a little different because you knew the attorney that he probably gave you a better deal or whatever like that. But in general, what would a person be looking for to pay if they're going to file for their patent, and with everything with the process that goes along with it, then hiring a attorney for this and whatever else that goes with it, and even building your prototype?
Okay, so my initial investment with securing the patent was, I think, $350. It might have been either $250 or $350. It's just whatever the USPTO charges for the filing fee.
Right.
When I had to double back to the attorney, that was definitely significantly more than $250.
Right.
And I want to say that might have been a couple $1,000. That was maybe $2,000-$3,000 then. And that was because there had to be some additional research that went along with that.
Okay.
The trademark was probably another $250 for the actual trademark. And that's only that low because I went through this program and was accepted through the school.
Oh, wow. That's
okay. Good. So that was that. But now I can tell you that my international patent that I'm working on now, my international patent is going to run me about $14,000. And it's going to run me that much because I'm selecting now 4 additional countries to sell the shampoo made to. And those countries that I am specifically targeting are based upon the orders that I receive online. So my business is strictly online right now.
Yes.
And unfortunately, because of the extreme shipping costs that the customers incur, it's kind of crazy. Yes. So I am opting not to ship to certain countries and I'm having to refund monies.
Oh, wow.
And so securing an international patent, I think, will definitely help that, because now I can look at distribution outside of the country as well, outside of the US.
That's wonderful.
And that'll definitely help. So that's why that cost is going to be so significant, because I'm looking at 4 additional countries in addition to the US. As far as the initial investment for the actual prototypes that we created. There was, now I have, I'm gonna grab one and show it to you.
Okay.
So I have, we designed the box here.
Okay.
So designing of my box, and you see I've got wording all over my box here.
Right.
This is a special design box specifically for the shampoo mate. The die cut for this box was a little over $1,000.
Wow.
That's just the design of the box, the die cut itself.
Yes.
So you factor in, then I have to package and get whatever quantity I want to get. So there's a fee for that. And depending upon how much you purchase, there's a sliding scale on the cost of that. The material that the shampoo mate is made of as well, there was an additional cost for that. So I'd roughly say to get started with everything that I did, and I think I only had maybe 20 to start with.
Okay.
Was a few $1,000s.
Yes.
To start with. And then, of course, like I said, now that I'm ordering much more, there's a sliding scale. And so you just have to work with your suppliers and your vendors and let them know, you know, what you're doing, basically.
Right.
And then each time I scale up, then I go back and say, hey, what's my new discount?
I know, exactly. So let me ask you a question on your box, the design of your box. Did you have the cutout window so that a person can actually reach in there and feel it? Or what's the motivation behind the window?
Initially the motivation was because we wanted them to actually get in and feel it and touch it and all of that great stuff. But because of what we're doing now, because now I'm looking to get into big box realtors now, my box design, well, I'm going to have 2 separate boxes. So now that's going to be another cost that I'll have to incur, because the box will then change from being one opening like it is now. I'll have a solid box, which is the thought process. But like I said, we'll see. We have not begun testing that just yet. So I've got a couple of meetings to talk with some people to kind of see what would be the best option for that. But that will be an additional cost for me to redesign the box. Right. And then just so you know, too, I have instructions on here in Spanish and in English.
Go, girl. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, I was thinking about that with the design of the box. Now, since you're out in the market and people know about you and they know exactly what it is, maybe you can go a little bit cheaper by making a solid box opposed to having the window cut out. But you know, I'm just throwing in my little 2 cents. So
yeah, well, I mean, as far as shipping costs, it will definitely be different. So I'm changing the boxes, one, because of shipping, and so the thought process now, we've got a couple of designs in mind. I mean, I met with the vendor on yesterday to, you know, kind of talk over numbers and things for that. So it's going to, like I said, it's going to be an additional cost. And just like I mentioned, having the initial die, I'm going to have another die cut for this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. I am so proud of you.
Thank you.
I am so proud of you. And know that now you're going internationally too.
Well, international, I have to. I have to, because my market is saying that. I get orders from the UK all the time. I've gotten orders from Africa. I've gotten orders from Australia. I have to go international now because people are, you know, they're placing orders online, and I'm like, it's not going to be just $9 to ship to you, sweetheart. It's gonna be $39 to ship, or $59.
Yeah.
So we're looking at some different options.
International shipping is expensive, very expensive.
I
remember when I was in the clothing business, you know, I dress people all over the world, even internationally. And so I know what it's like to send something overseas and try to get a product to it, and they're talking about, oh, well, I need this by the weekend. Well, sweetheart.
Yeah, right. Exactly right.
Be paying to get it by the weekend, honey. You could have bought 2 or 3 more outfits, but
absolutely,
if you want it, I'm gonna get it over there to you.
Yeah, you know, and that's one reason I chose for it to be manufactured here in the States as well.
Right.
Because I didn't want to have to deal with the cost of the shipping to try to get it in, or all of the tariffs and things that we'd have to make sure that we were abiding by as well, trying to ship the product in. So we're a U.S. made company.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And in fact, I can honestly say that the bulk of the companies that I deal with to source all of my raw goods are here locally to me in Houston.
So let's talk about that when we get back. I'm going to take a break now for another commercial. Just hold on for 1 minute. The founder, board members of Greatness Pursuit nonprofit organization is having a Fathers, Heroes, and Princes Tea Party at the Match Houston on October the 6th, 2019 at 2 p.m. This will be a magical and memorable event to show our little girls just how special they are and what it feels like to be a princess. Please visit www.fatherandprincess.eventbrite.com and get your tickets. We are also offering business spotlight sponsorship packages. Please inbox me for information. And we're back. So, Miss Tracy, let's talk about the manufacturing of the product. Like I said, we have people out here and they're interested in getting their ideas out there. We talked about how to get it patented. We talked about getting your attorney and getting all of that done so that you can make everything legal and correct. We also talked about the prototypes that's needed in order to finalize it. And so now let's talk about manufacturing. How do you go about finding manufacturers to produce your product?
Okay. So again, for the product that I had, I knew simply that it needed to be comfortable for children.
Right.
And I think one day we were playing around with the little squishy balls. And I said, okay, I want something like that that can support, but yet still be ergonomically designed, and then still be comfortable, yet durable enough to be able to use, since it's going to be most likely used a couple of times a month.
That's a good
and
example.
In my case, multiple times, since I have 3 children whose heads I was shampooing at the time. And so we started with foam. Went online, Googled foam companies here in Houston. We went to a couple of companies. They didn't have an idea of what we were talking about initially. And then finally, I got to a particular company and explained what I was going to need. And it was going to be in water constantly. It was going to, we needed, something that was going to be comfortable, something that could withstand time.
Right.
And they said, oh, you might need to try this place. And we went there, sat down, explained everything, and said, this is what I want. And then they gave me a couple of days and said, let me go ahead and put something together for you. And they did just that, came back and tested it and was like, oh my goodness. And so again, that was simply a Google search of what I thought that I wanted initially, the product to be made out of. And then thankfully, I'm telling you, this whole process was God ordained, because
like
each step of the way it was, oh no, you need to try somewhere else.
Right.
This is where you need to go for this. And every company would refer me out to somebody who thought that they could help out. That's exactly what happened throughout this entire process. And so finally we settled on that company, and I have been working with that company ever since.
That's wonderful. And just like you said, it does sound like it was God ordained for that.
It was. It really was.
For everybody to keep leading you in the right direction and make sure that you had references to go to other places. That was wonderful.
Same thing. And that was for everybody. That was for the box manufacturer who's locally here to Houston. The material that's on the inside is here. And even when we went to that company for the material, they said, you ever thought about putting it in a cover? And I said, you're absolutely right. I need to do that. And they said, go check this company out. They do all types of materials and things like that. And I mean, materials from household goods to automobiles. And so we went there, and I went into this huge plant and was overwhelmed with material for days. I mean, any type of material you can think of. And we kind of played around and walked around with, different types of, and that's basically what it was. Came home, played around with several different types that they had given us, to see which one we liked better, which wasn't going to scratch anyone's neck or tug in hair or anything like that. And that's just how it happened. It started from simply a Google search and then asking, well, do you know somebody? Who do you know that could potentially help us? And those people, fortunately, referring us out to other companies as well.
Yes. So I have 2 more questions for you.
Okay.
One, did you provide them with an NDA?
Yes.
You did. And so
I did. It was one I created on my own.
Okay. And for those of you who don't know what an NDA is a non-disclosure agreement.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So because you don't want anybody to take. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That you give someone that you're working with about your product to ensure that they don't go and try to take your product or try to take it to somewhere else and produce the product themselves. And so they sign that to know that this is an agreement where they're not supposed to disclose any information. It's confidentiality.
And the interesting thing is because there was nothing on the market like what we had, people were still kind of like, I'm not really sure what you're talking about, but I think I can kind of get an understanding. Right. So, and then they didn't necessarily look like me. So that was a plus too, but still making sure that that NDA was in place to make sure that I was protected and wasn't going to have any issues or like, from doing that.
Yes. Completely understand. So I want to ask you, how can our listening audience reach out to you and purchase the Shampoo Mate?
Okay, so the Shampoo Mate is across all of social media platforms as Shampoo Mate. ShampooMate. We are everywhere. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Pinterest, Periscope, everywhere. Our website is theshampoomate.com. Again, that's theshampoomate.com. Retail price is $49.99. But tonight, at the end of the broadcast, I'll create a special code just for our listeners. The code will be just so you know. Just so you know, and your customers will, or anybody that's watching tonight will get a 20% discount code, and I will make that code active from tonight through tomorrow night. So it'll go valid through Friday evening at midnight.
Fantastic.
Yep. So just so you know, will be the code for a 20% discount. It'll be live after we get off this evening.
See, I try to tell y'all it's privileges to being a part of the Just So You Know moment with a twist show. You got privileges and benefits.
Just so you know,
y'all
with
know
a
for
twist.
sure. Miss Tracy, I want to thank you so much for being a guest tonight on the Just So You Know Moments with a Twist talk show. We thoroughly enjoyed you, and we have learned so much. I hope that you will be interested in coming back at a later date.
Of course.
Give us an update on your international sales.
I sure will. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate your audience for staying tuned with us and learning more about the Shampoo Mate. It is always a pleasure to be able to share something that I hope is going to help everyone in their home make shampoo time a much more enjoyable experience.
Absolutely, absolutely. So this concludes our episode for this week. Innovators, segment 1 for the Just So You Know Moments with a Twist. Please join us next week on Thursday at 8 p.m. Remember, for 16 weeks, we're going to be on Thursdays opposed to Wednesdays. After that time, we're going to go back to Wednesdays. And also, you can go and do a search for me on Spotify and find some previous episodes of the Just So You Know Moments with a Twist. For more information on Dr. LaShonda Jackson Dean, the services and books that I offer, visit me online at www.drlashondajacksondean.com. See you next week for Just So You Know Moments with a Twist. Bye-bye.